So this is the Circle 7 Quran, divinely prepared by Noble Drew Ali. The last chapter. The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed, which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days, there came a forerunner of Jesus who was divinely prepared by the great Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree and return to their own and be one with their Father God, Allah. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temples that desire to receive their charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc., that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa, there is still much wisdom to be learned. In these days, for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And keep in mind, in the other chapter, he established that the divine name of Africa is a Mexel. We, as a clean and pure nation descended from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation. While we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. The covenant of the great God Allah. Honor thy father and thy mother, and thy days may be long upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee. Come all ye Asiatics of America, and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, because you are not Negroes. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you will learn to love instead of hate. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourselves with the families of nations. We honor all the true and divine prophets. So open the floor and have a discussion. Islam, Humble Bay. Islam, somebody else came
Islam Morris was good.
Islam, Islam. Happy Holy Day, Morris. Peace and love.
Islam.
Yeah, happy Holy Day, man. So how y'all feel about the last chapter? We've been going over the Quran for a couple months, and we've hit the conclusion. What's y'all thoughts?
What's the title of this chapter? Okay.
The end of
Thank you.
So the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. How y'all feeling about this chapter?
I can say I would like to chime in a little bit.
that was part of the vibration that we're in right now with the eclipse and you know where we are right now with what's going on in this, up in the atmosphere and our timing as Khalifa society where we are right now. The timing of that movie is right in point with where we at, right where we are reading the end of the Quran. When you guys see the movie, you will really understand what I'm saying. But the theme out of all of that, what I got out of that mostly was just what we're on is about humanity. And it was showing how we as the original people have that um love, compassion for humanity. That's just us naturally, and we're tested. We're going to be tested in this movie. You'll see that, and it's so profound and divine that you're saying this, reading this end of the Quran right now, because this is where we are as Moors, and that you're going to see that in this movie. We are being tested to show, do we have the love and humanity? That's what it's all about. It's not about self and yourself. It's about humanity. And what are we truly doing with on the universe, on this planet?
And how we gonna unify and come back together as one.
Yes. And that's so profound.
That's right.
And
That's right.
you're gonna see that in the movie. I just gave you a little glimpse, but they gave some real nuggets. As a matter of fact, I want to see that movie again. Who want to go see it tomorrow?
What movie is this?
Wakanda.
Wakanda.
Oh, okay. You know,
Yeah,
I'm supposed to see it tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we were supposed to go see it on Sunday with some of the popes and the empresses. Not too
Okay.
sure.
Okay, let's plan it. I want to see it with everybody because we need a discussion on that movie afterwards because that is so powerful. It's very powerful. I was so surprised.
It's
So
because
surprised.
it's because it's based on us, mother. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know exactly. And the fact that the fact that we're on the end of we're reading the end of the Quran right now, and it's describing the character of who we are.
That is true too, because even in the last Zoom we had, we spoke on that, you know what I'm saying, and about what it was, and then going back to the matriarch, and then what she had to do when she, it's just her. Now, what is a queen to do? You know what I'm saying? Unify everybody. And I ain't even seen the movie, but since what I got from what you just said, I'm like, man, I'll see it tonight myself. But yeah.
You on point. Yep, you on point. That's exactly where they were trying to focus your focus, but you had to catch all that. Most of the people are not going to catch all that, how deep it was,
Yeah. Islam.
Wow. Wow. Anybody else had any thoughts on this chapter? Right. We're going to transition to astro diagnosis. We're dealing with the vocal organs still. Well, we're still in the throat rather, but specifically the vocal organs. This particular patient is a male born May 30th, 1919, 11:55 p.m. So here's a little rhyme the author's trying to get you prepared. The tissue of the life to be, we weaved with colors, all our own, and in the field of destiny, we reap as we have sown. I guess Whittier, some author's last name Whittier. This is truly so in the life of the soul whose horoscope we are to study here, with the fixed Saturn sign of Aquarius on the ascendant and the second ruler of Aquarius, the inspirational and advanced Uranus and Pisces intercepted in the first house. We may say that there are really two rulers of this horoscope: Saturn, which is in its fall in the seventh house in Leo, and Uranus, which is strong in the occult sign of Pisces in the first house. Planets and angles have a greater influence on life of the native than when they are in cadent or succident houses. Angles, I don't know if everybody knows, that's synonymous with cardinal signs. Succident would be equivalent to mutable. Cadent will be fixed, if I'm not mistaken. Planets which are in fixed signs and afflicted also bring with them a debt of destiny, which is usually most difficult to overcome. In this horoscope, we find Mercury in the fixed sign of Taurus, square to the obstinate and obstructive planet Saturn, which is in Leo, a fixed sign, and in the 7th house angle. Saturn being one of the life rulers, though in the sign of its fall, will have the most powerful rule over the life. And when Mercury and Saturn are afflicting each other from vestal signs, namely Taurus and Leo, we may look for an impediment in the speech. Remember, speech is dealing with vocal cords, Taurus dealing with the throat. So here's another diagnosing or another aftermath or another deficiency in the throat. This boy at the age of 5 years refused to talk. He is able to speak, but will do so only when the greatest persuasion is used. Doctors have operated on him twice for water on the brain, but have failed to find anything wrong. And what the effect of these operations may have upon the organism in the future remains to be seen. Up to the present time, however, the health of the boy has been normal. He will repeat only the sentences which are suggested to him, but if the parents are persistent, they may in time help him to overcome his weakness. On page 154, cross-referencing, in the book Cosmoconception, we are told, quote, "What we are, what we have, all our good qualities are the result of our own actions in the past. What we lack in physical, moral, or mental excellence may yet be ours in the future. This boy has truly taken up his life where he laid it down in his previous one. The planets are the clock of destiny." The clock of destiny. So once again, somebody outside of C.M. Bay, this author, Max Wendell, using the phrase clock of destiny, which shows when each soul must needs learn certain lessons, when it must reap from the seeds which it has sown in its past lives. We learn through Rosicrucian teachings that we are in this life here on the earth preparing to build the archetype of the body which we are to use in our next life. In the case of this poor soul, as we look back into the past, we see where in his keen desire for spiritual development, he neglected to build his physical body by mortifying the flesh, and neglected to use the organs of speech, being a member of a silent brotherhood in which the life was spent in silence and prayer. In this extremely one-sided life, he developed the spiritual faculties at the expense of the physical senses. We see here in the mystical Uranus is the sign of Pisces in the 1st house, trine to the moon, which is in its own sign of Cancer. Neptune, another spiritual planet, is parallel to Mercury and sextile to Mars and the Sun, indicating a soul who is highly developed along spiritual lines, but one who is lacking in the ability to use his development in his life on account of the lack of desire to use the organs of speech. This child, however, be assisted by the parents in developing this desire, but it will require great patience, as the mentality on the account of Mercury square Saturn will be slow to respond, and the boy will be very stubborn because of this aspect being from fixed signs. Mars, however, which is in the Mercury sign of Gemini, will lend its assistance in overcoming the influence of Saturn to some extent. All right, so here's another diagnosis. We're still dealing with the throat, but the main theme here is loss of speech. So this is a male born December 19th, 1896 at 12:30 a.m. The young man whose horoscope we will analyze here has the cardinal and Aries sign of Libra on the ascendant. Physically, he expresses the sign of Libra being 6 feet in height, splendidly developed, and his beautiful blue eyes. People with cardinal or fixed signs on the angles have more power of resistance than others. The will is stronger than that of common signs or mutable signs. In the case of this young man, however, we find an affliction active before he reached the age where he could be of assistance to the healers. In the Cosmoconception, we are told that in the latter part of the Lemurian epoch, man's body became upright, this being necessary before he will become an indwelling, self-conscious being, and certain changes had to take place in the body structure in order that the ego might express itself through its vehicles. When the ego entered within its vehicles, it was necessary that part of the sex force be used to build the brain and larynx, for it was destined that man should henceforth learn to do his own thinking, and the voice was necessary that he might himself understand and thereby communicate with others. To accomplish this, a part of his sex force had to be used. So a part of the creative organ remained with the upper portion of the body and was gradually converted into what now constitutes the brain and larynx. Thus, we may see that there must of necessity be a close connection between these organs, namely the generative organs, larynx, and brain. And that makes sense, because if you're not secreting, it's going to travel up. Those fluids go up the spine to the brain. So that makes complete sense to me. This is interesting to note through astrology how this works out. We find Scorpio, the sign ruling sex, in opposition to Taurus, which has a rule over the throat and larynx. Proof of the above close connection may also be found in the body whose voice changes at puberty. Also in the womb, who has had her ovaries removed and whose voice becomes deep and harsh. In the horoscope under consideration, we find Saturn, the planet of atrophy, in the sign of Scorpio. Saturn is in conjunction with Uranus. These two planets are unaspected, save by the conjunction with each other in a semi-sextile to the sun. And this we must consider as a condition which had its beginning in a past life. When we find Uranus and Saturn in conjunction in Scorpio and afflicted by other planets, we look for perversion of abnormal sex expression. But in reading these two planets, we go into the past life for the abuses which have weakened the organs, causing the poor soul to come into this life with the larynx and brain, each unable to function normally. With Saturn conjunction Uranus and Scorpio, we may look for its effect in the opposite sign of Taurus, the throat. Saturn then has a tendency to retard or restrict the secretion of the fluids of the glands or organs within the region of the neck, for instance, the thyroid, which is placed astride the windpipe at the front of the neck, and which may truly be called the balance necessary for the proper functioning of the mind. The thyroid also regulates all the other ductless glands, and every drop of blood in the circulation of the upper part of the body passes back and forth through it. Excesses or perversions of sex deplete the fluids of the thyroid gland. What a telltale the human voice is. How the misuse, how the misuse, I think they were gonna say sex. Damn, I lost it. I was gonna say the misuse of sex, pretty much. You gonna have throat.
You gotta go the other way. We was on example 3G.
Okay. It was right here, right? Somewhere right here.
Down a little bit more, I believe. He was like at the end of the page, and I was about to write what you was about to say. Right there, that last sentence, yeah.
Okay. So how the how the misuse of sex will make the male voice effeminate and the female voice masculine. In this horoscope, we have the story of a man who at birth had a voice, but after the age of 4 years, he would not make a sound, nor has he spoken a word since. The organs ruling the voice in this case have been weakened by the dissipation of the sex fluids in the former life. We find Neptune, the higher octave of Mercury, the planet ruling the pineal gland, and the Mercury sign of Gemini in conjunction with the moon and Mars, and in opposition to the sun. Neptune has a rule over the pineal gland and the spirit and the spinal spirit fire. So they call that liquid that go up the spine spirit fire. It generates in the genital area. It travels up the back into the brain if you don't secrete it. You know, they call it a spirit fire. That's interesting. Never heard that title before. The brain in this case has remained childlike. The young man dresses himself, but he will not speak, and he spends his entire time turning the leaves of books. Truly, the spirit encased in this limited vehicle is learning some remarkable lessons which are likely to bring it back in its next embodiment as a childlike, virtuous woman. All right, so yeah, let's open the floor and talk about this, because it was, first of all, happy Holy Day, Empress. Just came in the chat.
Islam, happy Holy Day.
That's fine.
Yeah, how you been?
I've been blessed. I'm mothering, you know, as always. So I got the baby on me right now. He's teething, so we're hanging in there.
Islam. So I want to open the floor for any type of thoughts on this chapter. Anything that stood out, anything that was learned.
So this whole chapter was like very interesting to me because I was already aware that the stuff that you do in your past life affects how you move in this life, but the way they broke it down through the birth chart made a little more sense as to where you can find like strengths and weaknesses when certain planets are combined. And then the first example that you were reading, I had a download a while ago. I have a little cousin, he's autistic. And then I know a couple of other kids who are autistic. And the download that I had got from interacting with them is they're slow to speak because in some cases it's like their souls are reincarnated on this earth for like the first time and they're not used to English language type stuff. So they have to feel very, very comfortable to want to open up, to want to talk, to want to be their self. So I feel like that's very, very important for people who like have children who are autistic or have problems speaking, to go ahead and look into their birth chart to see exactly what the problem is. Like,
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's a very very deep analysis there. I could see that clearly. Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense. That was a
Yeah.
good. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Islam says.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Well, the part about the sexual desire or the sexual opening up that portal. So are they saying that use women under that sign that have more sex, they begin to become more masculine because of the tone of their voice? Is that why they become more aggressive?
Yeah.
I took it as they abuse sex in the wrong way. Like it affects your body when you do and stuff that's not natural type stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the opposite. So once again, it's the opposite of the genitals or the generative area would be the throat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And
why
then if you ever seen a picture of a throat or a larynx, the opening it looks the same as the opening of the vagina. So that kind of stuck it out to me too when you said, and it's like as above, so below. Your genitals are below, lower self, and then your throat is above, higher self. Like,
Wow, that
damn.
mm-hmm.
the 180-degree opposite, because
Mm-hmm.
you're pretty much saying Scorpio opposite Taurus. You're pretty much saying throat, genitals, because those they both rule. You know what I mean? That's how you can kind of look at it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
And then like something else, I just got another download, like sexual abuse that affects your speech too. Like a lot of kids go through being molested and they close themselves off and they don't speak their mind. They become somebody different. They're like hiding themselves. So yeah, this chapter was lit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Islam.
Wow.
I feel like it's also saying, and this is also backing up what she just said and earlier, that basically balance first in all lives matter. That's the all lives matter, all your lives. Not my life, all lives matter. And then the second thing is if you don't use it, you lose it. So it said if you want to have a vow of silence in one life, that's so extreme that you may not be able to talk your next life.
Right.
So balance in everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's facts. That's same way I felt. I feel like and it's like well, I had readings before. So if you was rich in your past life, you might be poor this time. It's like everything is the opposite
Hmm.
to create a balance, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you come back as the opposite to balance out the energies that you may have messed up or did something in your past life. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah. What you need to work on
hmm
or accept.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a constant theme because my mind go back to math class, and when you're dealing with equations, it's like a process of elimination when you go about things, and they have formulas and stuff like that. And one of the rules was you have to whatever you do to the opposite side of the equal sign, you do to the other side. You know, because you gotta have balance. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Facts.
Nah, I was gonna tap in on back to like the Taurus and the genital part about like when you're dealing with your lower self and your energy and you transition, it's crazy because your soul departs through the neck under your Abdullah Amgata, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just crazy. Like I just channeling back in, like, I was listening to Mother Zodiaca. So it's just tying it in because, 7 days of the week, the 7 major planets, the 7 sisters, the 7, and then the bullseye of the Taurus, like it's Pallades, it's all like a reading astrology, man, just reading the signs. No fourth of Nazareth, man. It's a beautiful thing, yeah. Everything just ties back. So, beautiful. I just excited about it. I just got to shout apologies.
yeah, it's loud. Yeah, man. So
It's like all of this makes kind of sense though, man. It's like if we was perfect, we wouldn't have to be here anymore. You feel me? So you're gonna keep coming back until you figure out where you come
Yeah.
from. You know,
hmm
that's the whole point of that's why nationality is very important because it's the honor thing. So I think I mean, how many years has it been with us claiming to be other things that we are not? And time doesn't exist. Everything is parallel. So how many years has it been since we've been in violation? So I think we here just to trace ourselves back.
yeah,
Realigning.
That's good.
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and it gives you like I said, we've been going through the Quran for about 2 months, and we just had a conclusion, and you see the repetitive theme was, have structure in your life, you know, don't be idle,
Mhm.
the promotion of stability, having habits that are positive. So when you look back as time goes on, you look back, you can see growth. You be like, okay, 2 years ago, where however many years you want to go back, you should be able to be like, okay, there's an evolution going on. Whether it be character, things you got going on, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
everything is measurable, and going through the Quran as a group, and as I'm reading it, things would just stop, popping out, and it's clear that that's a character book. It brings it to the forefront of your mind. The noble, characteristics of what's noble and what's not, and then it just popped it off. It concluded by saying, linking up with the family of nations, right?
Mhm.
So that's in tune with nature, right? Like just like what Jerry Bay was saying, how long has our people been out of tune with nature? So
Mhm.
why not let's try something different? You know what I'm saying? And then as you're active in the midst of doing that, like you seeing the evolution. You know, you
Mhm.
see every day is something to strive for. And it's not now it's never could really be idle because there's always something to do for the collective of the body, getting the culture out there. You know, you networking with people, you know, by default, it's always goals. You know what I mean? It should
Mhm.
never be an idle day, you know. And that's a beautiful thing, you know. It's a better quality of life knowing that you have um, something to stand for, and it's so reassuring back to the nationalities of people that walked up to me personally. I'm speaking for myself over the course of these years.
Mhm.
You know, want to take pictures and just thank you, brother. Like just you can see it in their eyes. Like some of them about to cry when they see me. Like, oh yeah, you woke. Like the more right here in front of them. They've been waiting for this day. That's the type of experiences that keep me motivated to know that it's the right path.
Mhm.
You know, because the whole world can identify and then match what I read in the books. So not only did I read in the books how noble we were, not only did I hear people on YouTube read books, I'm actually seeing human beings in real time. Like yeah, you know what I'm saying? High regards, much
Mhm.
respect. You know what I mean? Let me get a picture with you. They family, they children, they little daughters and sons. Let me get a picture all together. You know what I'm saying? Numerous on occasions by myself, us as a group, and it's a big difference before any of this information was known. How people was responding to me. I'm talking about that's a testimony from that nobody could tell me. It's not even a debate. It's a reality. I'm seeing the difference.
Mhm.
How humanity is looking at me. So imagine what we can do as a collective over a body of time, consistency. They see, oh, this organization series, these Moors, slow expansion. Next thing you know, you got these different nationalities of people throwing us whatever right here, man. So that's kind of the mind state, you know. It's for one, it's for life. It's not like it's just a organization. Like we literally the same nationality of people, and we trying to constantly make our present state and condition better with
Mhm.
with with structure, with a plan. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not a temporary thing. It's like I say, we got family members. It's how we should be looking at it. Like we all blood. We just every day we just trying to just chip away at some expansion. You know. And by the way, just three just 3 months ago, it was no clothing line. It was just a thought. Now we didn't fast forward 30 pieces of merch has
Mhm.
been sold. I never even thought about getting into fashion. I didn't even know how to print a shirt. I looked at the span of 1 week. I just YouTube video how to do this, what I need.
Mhm.
Got competent, printing shirts, pushing merch, right?
Mhm.
So when we talk about the magician, the kingdom of heaven is within. God being etymology, the invoker or the manifester, essentially, right?
Mhm.
This is with the nobles. That's noble activity. That's a noble vibration. To know that you're the invoker, to know that you can manifest and make things happen. That should bring some type of pride. that we have these type of abilities. So once again, it's about what we plot and plan and what we want to do to make it happen. And like I say, man, everybody should be an ambassador or a diplomat of the society. You see people out there, put them on. That's why I stress the importance of being competent. So we can bring more people to the society, serious, like, you know what I'm saying? The whole nine. Take finances to build a nation. We need, like I said, 100 people paying temple dues. They can't pay temple dues, do some type of community service for the organization, pass out some flyers or something, show some allegiance. Period. It's nothing more. It's not either you with it or you not. Simple as that. You know what I mean? So the more serious we take each other, the more magnetic we're gonna look to the people looking at us. But yeah,
That's all facts, man. You know, because that's all facts, man. I love that illustration because most people, they don't keep things simple. When you give, it's not about, well, where is this going? What is it doing? And what it did? No. See, the intentions ain't right.
Right.
Like when you give, and then that's just it. You know, you did your best, and your intentions were correct. So what that is the blessing in itself. You feel me? That's a man is not gonna bless you. It's gonna be the universe. You know, it's who you are, what you think, and your intentions, you know, cause the universal law, you know what I mean, to kick in for you. That's the divine stuff, you know.
This chapter right here on astral diagnosis too, like how it was emphasizing on the past lives, it kind of put a lot into perspective for me too, because you know, like sometimes internally you feel like, oh, what's the use? It feels like, you know, every day we're living more and more artificial and the world's about to collapse soon, but really we're just alley-ooping for the next time around, setting ourselves up. And it kind of tripped me out how dude had speech impediments, and it said that he belonged to like a secret society in this past life where he was holding in all the secrets, you know. But we're supposed to share all of it.
Right.
Especially with the Moors, because you know they're the ones that taught us, and we kind of like, you know, the Albion or whatever kind of took it and ran with it and confused them, made them their enemies instead of the ally.
Right.
Word. Islam, word, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the gatekeeper of all the knowledge, so nobody would know how to better themselves.
Right. He ended up being in the secret order, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you caught that? That one tripped me out right there. You gotta share the knowledge, man.
Yeah.
That's why we're all running around confused, hurting each other, thinking we're doing right. I feel like a lot of Albions, they think they're doing right by doing, you know, charity work and stuff, but it's really kind of a front because they still maintain the broken system.
Right.
Right.
And they don't, sometimes a lot of them don't know no better, you know. It's just their forefathers that kind of ruined the game, rigged it for everybody.
Yeah.
Like you know, for my side of the angle, I've been around, so I feel that you know, far as people fighting for rights and doing whatever it takes to get their rights recognized or their views seen, and they do a lot. You know, they get, you know, people getting ran over by cars, hit by bombs, and they more, you know, it's like that's, you know, they're gonna be here long enough so we can learn. You know, you're gonna keep coming back here. You know, it's simple. Like the test, you fail, you got to take the test again. That's how life is. You know, like you come here and you didn't do what you was actually supposed to do, you will be back. You know, so
yeah,
it's a lot of people out there, a lot of other nations fighting for our right. They waiting for us to wake up. You know, you know, just like the prophet said, the European is helping me, why not you?
right.
So that's a perfect example right there where, you know, we seen it, like when they out there rioting for what they think or if they've been violated, the way they go about it and the way we go about it is different. Like And there's no disrespect. Like I seen the Million Man March, I seen all these marches, but no, go to the building. You know what I mean? You don't have to walk in the streets. Be there. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I be seeing them do. You know, the ones that are causing the problems and keeping this going, they already know. That's why they keeping it and doing what they're doing. They keeping it the way it is because they know who we are and they trying to keep us in a certain predicament. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why it's important for us when we see a lot of these buildings getting built and a lot of this land being taken over, you know, just learn to love instead of hate, like the prophet said, and know that you're going to inherit all that anyway. So when you see him, be like, hey, give thanks, man. You know, flip the script on them. You know what I'm saying? The whole frequency.
Yeah. And two, keep in mind, everything is an illusion. Because remember, man, know not by being told, right? So back to like how we went into that temple before we went in that temple 80. It was a mystique of oh, okay, this is a religious Moor, this is a dogmatic, this is some Moors that may got a higher up that's in the lodge, which still may be true, but you know, we start talking with them people in the flesh in real time, and we see it ain't, you know, everybody ain't rocking like that. People got their own mind, and there's people that vibrate high, you know, and if they're doing that, their antennas are gonna link up with other people that vibrate high no matter what. And it's going to be some type of camaraderie, right? So the same thing with people like in the councilmen in these municipalities, right? Yeah, most of these people in the lodge, you know, everybody's corrupt. Everybody's corrupt. But what happens is when you talk to a councilman, or you talk to somebody and be like, you know what, like we go to LA, City Hall, like, you know, it's a house resolution, you know, about our people, that we Aboriginal and Indigenous to North, Central, and South America. Oh yeah, that's in LA. Yeah. There's one in Texas, there's one in Chicago. You know, you talk to a councilman, right? And then you build a rapport for things that we may need in the future. For one, that document the rights of Indigenous people. And it's things like in the hood, like housing, urban development. Like I say, once we show and prove and pass the SNP tests, it's things that they'll just throw us. Like, but it's more about being charismatic, talking to these people, or having a relationship, or you know, you might got a cousin or something. You know what I mean? It's on that type of tip. And one thing just lead to another, man. So keep that in mind too. Because we always trying to push the political agenda on all levels. You know what I'm saying?
That's all facts. You know, the prophet said two things, and there's so many different levels of what we're doing, and we have to correct all those levels. If you're on a level where you looking at the skin of people and you think they're different people and all that stuff, now don't mix it, don't do that. You got lessons for every level, but the highest level is man is mine. And if you judge people based on their skin color, like the prophet said, you already burnt up. So it's the battle of the mindsets right now. It's not the battle of the skin. It's the battle of the mindset. Everybody got to get their mind right and know the truth. And once they know that and everybody proclaim their nationalities, now you are part of the human family. And that's what it's all about for everybody. Noble Drew Ali is a universal prophet. So any nation can take that information and they can use it to save themselves. And that, you know,
illegal not too long ago for us to read at all.
But what would you say? I don't think we heard you.
I said I was agreeing with him, like that's real talk, because like not too long ago it was illegal for like a lot of the people to read even at all.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
They didn't want nobody reading.
Oh, reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like now, like it's common. People don't want to read, but like only like 100, 200 years ago, it was illegal for a lot of us to read.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like House Resolution said, 1508. What did it say? The Moabites and the Canaanites are the mothers and fathers of the human civilization. Of human civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what it is. That's the whole point of everybody proclaiming their nationality. Now we know who is who and who is not. You know what I mean? Because if they still pushing this agenda of color and still pick, you know, it's like it's to the point where it's like it's so diluted where you got nations or so-called countries that just was built in the 50s with a flag, and see what I'm saying? So that's how you know they, what Prophet dropped, they know that. You know what I mean? Because they do exactly what he said, like, need a flag, right? We know this. So once we get on our feet and do what we supposed to do, it's already written in law. It's already written in nature that we are the mothers and fathers of civilization. They all know this. Everybody know they came from so-called Africa, right? So, but the problem is the people that are really the so-called Africans are the Moors, you know what I mean, don't know who they are. So who are the mothers and fathers? The mothers and fathers think they are what? Slaves, Black, Negro, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's a big problem. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine that.
It's terrible. It's terrible, man.
It's something that
I can
that
see
I
it.
always thought of. I always felt like the melanated man is like the pineal gland of for all of us. So if we're calcifying our people, then we're just calcifying ourselves too. Like if we uplift each other, it's on. Everybody's gonna be rich, you know, in some form or fashion.
Hey, something
Everybody,
just,
yeah.
something just hit me.
We're just hating on ourselves, basically, you know? It's
It
all
was
bad.
it was this cartoon called those the Gargoyles, and
I remember that.
when the sun come out, remember they turn into stone or something into the
Oh,
and
yeah.
when the sun come out,
Right,
they
right. On top of the building, they
yeah.
for
I think that's like a decalcifying, like when the truth, because you know the sun is the light and light is the truth. So like the truth, you know what I'm saying, to decalcify the pioneer. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, it just hit me right now. Like that's what that was about.
That's crazy.
Blade, you know, if people can't come out during the day,
Oh, yeah, vampires.
they can't stand the sun. The sun is the truth. It burns them.
And them gargoyles are supposed to
Oh,
guard
yeah,
the
noble.
church from
To do
evil
our
spirits.
work good though.
Yeah, man. Yeah, all them.
There's a lot of gargoyles in London.
Oh yeah.
Everywhere.
It's part of that Gothic architecture or something like that.
Yeah, it's all over there. I just call them little gargoyles. Like I didn't know. Like they're like little things with wings and long
Gremlins.
teeth.
I
Yeah, they're
just
like
saw
everywhere.
one.
Those statues are like everywhere. Like on top of the
Gremlins.
buildings, on top
That's
of like
all.
before you get on the bridges, they're like everywhere.
Yeah.
And you know
I
who
saw
we act
some
like?
recently and I noticed it. I don't remember. It was on like it wasn't on the type of building that I thought it would be on. And they were like all the way I think it was downtown somewhere. But it was just like very, very random to have gargoyles on the top of that building. When I seen it, it just stood out to me.
Yeah.
I was just saying, it's crazy how we act like the lion on Wizard of Oz or something. Like a lion. Can you imagine a lion scared that running from deers and all that shit? Like, you know, that's kind of weird. Could you imagine lions eating lions? Like that's how we are. Like we so tough amongst each other, which is the easiest thing to do. I mean,
Right.
someone that look like you, go hard on them, but soon as the lion against the jaguar or the lion against, you know, another type of cat, now you scared. So
Yeah.
it's like that's how we act. You know what I mean? So we gonna have to get our heart back, man. You know?
The
Yeah, it's crazy. But lions do eat lions though. Male lions do.
Yeah, for survival. You know,
Yeah.
if they struggling, hey, you know, I think that's a part of life though, you know. You know, even Prophet said, like one day, you know, if you don't pack up your 90-day supply, you're gonna bite into your own flesh and be mad that you did it. When you starving, you don't know what you're gonna do.
Man, that mind go lucid, boy. Ooh, you better know balance.
But I think that's why, you know, like they stole the you know, our brother Jesus or Joshua and made him light, because so when we do you
When
know,
he do come
face
back and Prophet Noble Dryly, we wouldn't recognize him. Possibly. I'm sorry, mother.
no, you know, like it's like when we face the pale skin, like we don't see him as like an evil, or you know, that he's coming for us like that.
Look
See
at him
him
like a
as, you know, we
savior.
see him as the God, or you know.
Yeah, and they call it white. And the white is the purity. White is the God, but you know, they're
Yeah,
him.
yeah, like
Borgia.
signs and symbols. You know, that's what they use. Signs and symbols, you know, and now we study. That's why we in Morocco now. You know, the more you study and you
And the
know
language.
what's yours, when you now it's like, you know, Compton just turned into Morocco to me. You know, just like the Compton Cemetery, that's Moor's architect. But if I didn't know I was a Moor and I didn't know anything about Moor's architect, I wouldn't be able to see it. And that's how they speak. That's how they do everything. Signs and symbols.
The Gavier.
Yeah.
Right. A pearl.
And now your mentality, right? So your mentality changed, so your world changed, so your status changed, right? Because you see the world as it is, you know, how it's supposed to be, and not through the lens of a cloud. You know, your degrees have risen, so to speak, right? And that's a beautiful thing, man. And you know, with knowledge come responsibility. You know,
Facts.
Ability.
You probably have more power calling yourself a dumbass, because you probably really are, than calling yourself shit that you are not. You see what I'm saying? You know how low vibrating that is? Calling yourself something that people that you are not. That's low vibration right there, bro. I'm telling
you. Yeah.
Islam.
It's like mental issues too. Like they didn't brainwash us so fucking bad that we don't even see the fucking brainwashing going on type shit.
120-degree trichology.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to get out of
mother.
it too.
Hold on, let the mother go ahead.
Islam, everyone.
I was just
I'm
saying it's
sorry.
hard. Oh, okay. My bad.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt everyone, but I just have like 5 minutes. My baby fell asleep, so I was like, let me try to hop on real quick. So a question really quick, just for everyone. Right, once we proclaim our nationalities, right, and we get this knowledge. Now we have to be like the example and things like that. My question is the nationality card, right? Is that our form of identity? Like, is that what we rolling with now? Or do you guys agree in getting like our driver's license and our names changed? Like, what do you guys take on like identity as far as being a Moor now? Like, how do we portray that in the world? Like, I understand we have our religious headdress and, you know, everybody is or isn't comfortable with wearing it, things like that. But how do you go about, you know, like on your everyday basis, like by letting people know that you a part of the nation, like being an example?
Yeah, it's just that. Just like how you see other nationalities, you be like, oh, like I just went by a mosque. I went by a mosque every Friday. They deep. It's like Pakistanis, Indonesian, Hindustani, Koreans, and they all go to this mosque, right? But even Monday through Friday, you're gonna see somebody that's in their garb or turban to display that they're from Hindustan or Pakistan, Tibet, you know. So you being out and about, not just Sunday inside a building with your ancestral garb, is how you let the world know, like, oh, you're more. And that's why I don't know if you came in late or not, but like I say, the past 4 years, I'm pretty much in a turban or fez of some sort. And like I say, people want to walk up and take pictures with me. They know who the Moors are. They know about our Sultan here. They know that we were Indians. They know that we civilized the world. You know what I mean? They know we talk to Europeans. It's no debate. And
Islam. I agree. I agree. You know, like when you say you come into the policy enforcers and you traveling and things like that, as far as that goes, because like I did the whole name change. Like I went and got my name changed at the courthouse, make sure I had Bay on my name. And I got my driver's license, you know, with my turban on it. I got a passport, global insurance. I got everything with like, you know, my Moorish name attached to it, and I get treated a whole lot different. Even like when I went to Cuba, you know, when you go like in other places, people like respect it. And so I'm just saying, like, what does this temple, you know, like, do you guys encourage that? Because like I've been to some temples where they be like, oh, we don't mess with the government, things like that. So I just wanted to know, like, where do you guys stand?
It's the competency. You know, we put the laws out there. For example, if you look in what you call the Department of Justice Criminal Resource Manual 1508, which is also in the United States Codes Title 18, Section 1028 is dealing with identification. In that, it talks about national ID, which is an ID that represents the nationality of the person. And it goes on to say, if you don't have a nationality card, then the other three forms of identification, which will be accepted, is driver's license, personal ID, or birth certificate. And it even goes on to even further say that the driver's license is not identification. It's just commonly accepted as, commonly used as that, and been assumed to be like a national ID since nobody's using it or whatever. That's what it's insinuating. So basically, the national ID, if you have it, it trumps corporate instruments. That's the bottom line. So we put information out there, and you know, people exercise where they feel comfortable. I have a nationality card. I don't, you know. So yeah.
What stood out to me was how you were telling me it's the all your like driver's license stuff. If you want to participate in United States commerce, it's like your DBA, doing business as, or you know, it's not your real natural name. And then I remember I screenshotted some that stood out to me from when we were studying on the Bay publications, and there was a definition of status. And the etymology, it says the etymology of the word state comes from the Latin status, stare, to stand, status, manner of standing, attitude, position, carriage, manner, dress, apparel, and other senses. So yeah, it's just like how you carry yourself. And then that was pretty powerful how you said the national card trumps over everything. And like it's up to us to exercise it.
Right. And that's in their law. That's in
their laws. Yeah.
What they'll call federal. That's coming from the United States Department of Justice, DOJ, Department of Justice. Yeah. So that's coming from their stuff.
I need to start just studying law.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I know exactly what she did. She went to the court and filed a petition for legal name change. And then you have to pay a newspaper a certain amount of dollars to run it in the newspaper for a couple of weeks. And then they give you a decree of name change. Then you go down to the Social Security building and these different places to do the update. But like it's a lot of people that don't know this information that we share with each other in law. So if you know how to work through contracts, that's good, you know, but in all naturality, you created another straw. It's just with the Bay now, you know what I mean? So they do, if they was doing like an investigation or a background check, they're gonna end up linking both together. You know, they're gonna know this person is now this person, you know? But
Islam.
yeah, but it's not, I'm not saying that you just you know, a lot of master teachers say that, and I know master teachers that do teach people and tell people to do that, you know. But like, you know, Grand Sheik was saying, like, yeah, the national ID is the highest form of identification, you know. So you created another straw,
It's
and
fine.
so the
It's
people that don't know, mhm.
Oh, just really quick. And the only reason why I did it, I just want to share this with you all because I understand that. I understand that it was just another straw. It's the same social security number, so it doesn't matter. You know, that number still links to me, no matter what I change my name, if I get married, if I get divorced, if I change my name in law, all of that. The reason why I did it, and I'm gonna just share this with y'all, from my opinion, right? I did it because I felt like my birth certificate is now changed with my Moorish last name, right? So that's already putting them on notice, like, look at my name, you know, that's my religion. And so not only that, you know, like traveling amongst, like when you travel, you know, when you go somewhere in the world, we tried to travel with a nationality card and it was bunked. You feel me? Like once we get out of the United States, right, over the border, whatever, they want to see a passport. They want to see some type of, you know, allegiance to a state or, you know, a country. And so this is why I was like, okay, well, the highest form of identification is a passport. So in the world, around the world. And so I get to wear my turban, you know, on my passport. I get to have that bay on my passport. And for me, just personally, like when I got all of this, it did make me feel like, damn, I'm on, like, shoot, I wish somebody would test me. It's on the highest identification around the globe. You know what I mean? And you're treated like royalty. I'm gonna be honest, when you have that turban on, like when we traveled abroad, right? And we have our turbans on. It was this other there wasn't a couple, it was two girls, and they were Islamic as well, and they had on their garbs and stuff. They had to go, they pulled them to the side because it wasn't on their passport and they had to get undressed. And we seen them later and they was like, man, we felt so, you know, abused and da da da. So we were telling them like, hey, just throw it on there as your religion, like, you know, and you have to take a picture with your garb on so that they don't make you take it off. Because if it's on the if it's on the passport, they have to allow you to walk in like that to wherever you're at in the world. So I'm just saying, like, you know, here a nationality card, you know, it should work. It should trump. And if you're knowledgeable, you don't even have to show identification to nobody. You feel me? Like that's already violating your human rights. Like you have the right to be free to live, you know, happily. And, you know, there's human rights that trump civil rights, right? So we have rights. If you're knowledgeable, you don't have to show identification unless you break a law, all this, all that. The reason why I got the driver's license is because when I travel, I do a lot of car renting. So it's just easier for me to have a license, you know, instead of going through like the nationality card. Because like I said, I've tried all of this stuff already. And so it just, you know, it didn't work in some places it did. I'm not saying that it's not right. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying for me, in my opinion, when I went through all of this with master teachers or whatever, and I did it, for me, like things opened up and it was just like, I wish somebody would, you know, even like my children's school, whatever, like anything I'm combating, I feel like protected, like, look at my identification. Like, don't play with me. I'm serious about this more stuff. So I'm just saying that just gave me an extra you know, in my step. Like
Yeah,
you were saying, you know what
I
I mean?
understand exactly what you're saying, because like I studied that before years ago. So like the best way to do it though, like once you get that name change decree, you go down to the passport place first with that court order, and they're gonna ask you when you fill out for the passport, have you ever had a social security number? And you're gonna say no. And then you write an affidavit saying that you did not have a why? Because the new name never had a social security number, right? So you can get the same thing done without the social and without authenticating the birth certificate. You see what I'm saying? So
Islam.
now
Yeah, I've
when
heard
you
of
create
that.
your state, you throw that old straw into your, you know, into your trust as deceased. Once, because now you just killed off. That's how you kill off the straw, you know. But you're right though. When you use your ID, the national, there's so many people out here that don't know law. It's more acceptable in this common world. But you know, like we said, in law, it's not. But in the eyes of the people, yeah, I can see that working. You know, it makes sense. But I say that you know, I just try to do my best to keep old and new, you know, but I know that it's different struggles out here and people need to get things done. And, you know, but that's the way I studied it. You know what I mean? Without doing the social. Now you can use CM Bay, AAA 222-141. You know what I mean? When you don't have a social.
But keep in mind, at the end of the day, the fact that you have a turban and fez on in public, regardless where you at in the world, that's why you were treated like that. It's not because what a square piece of plastic, a picture, for one. Just keep that in mind. Regardless what instrument you got, they're gonna give you the respect because you got the fez or turban on and you're traveling the world. For two, like the sister said, they told her you got to be part of a state or a body. That was true, and that's why this has been talked about numerous times. If you travel outside of the Americas, you're going to need to get basically faxed written correspondence from an ambassador from a nation state, wherever, Indonesia, Pakistan, whoever the ambassador, whatever they call their higher ups. You're going to need something with their government seal stating that, yes, we're ready, we're allowing him to come here for X amount of days, that he's here for vacation, whatever. The same questions that customs would generally ask. It'll be a Q&A physically. And then when you get on a plane with your ID, national ID, with that wet ink signature, raised seal from an ambassador from the nation that you're going to go to, now you can use a nationality card. And you're coming from a body. That's why I say you need to be part of a body politic, not just one more traveling, because you're not part of a body. That's not government. What body? The temple supposed to be operate like that, but most of them don't operate on civics. So that's a whole other conversation. But you know what I'm saying? It's government to government. That's why when you look up nationality in the law dictionary, one of the elements is you can interact with different nationalities of people of the globe. But your organization got to be national in origin, civics in origin, and no law. Right? So hopefully that answered, the question as far as like in America, yeah, the nationality card. But if you're not operating as a body, as what they'll call like consulate or embassy, or you having diplomatic correspondences with other elected officials of Korea, wherever you're going, and you ain't got then yeah, you're gonna use that passport. And pretty much it's a straw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I also seen people with their passports with the fez on, with the status correct, and they straw name. And they still with all rights reserved, and they still boom boom. So
yeah,
but the way is only one Elodia way. And that's the way you speaking about, you guys.
Yeah, that's yeah. Other than that, you just traveling and you wanted to have a fez on your picture, because that really don't matter. You could have just went in the straw. Why change anything? you can still get the same noble treatment, because you're gonna be there with the fez and turban on in real time, and then people that you're seeing on that land gonna be like, oh hey, you the Moor. You're gonna still get respect. So you just, you know what I'm saying? All that extra changing the paperwork, what'd you do that for?
Yeah, it's based on your knowledge. You know what I mean? Know thyself. You know what I mean? You knowing thyself and how you travel the world and what you do while you travel, you basically being in honor of who you're supposed to be all along. But it's just that now that you're able to see yourself around the world and now you're actually to do it, it's like, okay, you could have been having that royalty, but you see how it was dumbed down on our people here. You know what I'm saying? And to pretty much oppress us in the minds where it's like we would never find this information. But once the prophet came and brought this all back, you know what I'm saying? That's why, you know what I mean? If you study the prophet and then you go do the civics, you go learn, it'll all fall into play, like, you know what I mean, how it should be. Then you just get around the right people with the right commonality to get you in play with that civics. It's a wrap.
But I do see what she's saying, because like 15 years ago, that was the way Moors was doing it. They was rescinding everything, all these signatures off all documentation. They was also going to court and doing the name change, because they asked you, you write an affidavit with it, like, why are you changing your name? and you tell them, because I'm a Moorish American, and I'm proclaiming my nationality, whoopie woo woo woo, and then that be on the record. So you can kind of utilize that. But see, you know what I mean? But my thing is, like, I wouldn't do the ID and the social security part. I would just do that part and never use it. But because once you get that decree, all it says on there that you are Bay. You know what I mean? And on the record, their record and their courts, because a lot of people used to try to take the proclamation papers, you know what I mean, the name change and all that, to the courts and file it in the courts. That's how it used to be. So the way that we're doing it, like, you know, signing it ourselves. Some people mail it to 7 locations. So it's so many different things that came up throughout the years. You know what I mean? And it's going to keep changing like that because they keep on adapting to these tactics that we're using. But the only one they can adapt to is the one we're talking about right now. Just having the nationality card, body of politic. You know what I mean? That's going to be, it's the hardest way, but it is the best way because it stopped our fiat from going to them. Like I have to pay them $30 for this, $100 for that, and really that's supposed to be going to our own nation because we are our own government as well. So if we're trying to get this, you know, not be recognized as a government, but if we're trying to stand as a government, that's how things gonna have to function, you know.
And that's why I kept saying, where's our mind at? Because if we got to, for one, we need to be part of a body. All this being scattered, and like I say, in the temple, any temple is supposed to be a body politic of itself, and then it's supposed to be different body politics linking up. You know what I'm saying? Then we talk about international negotiation, but the people's minds ain't like that because most temples are on civics. But that's another conversation because we got to crawl before we walk. That's why we as an organization are trying to unify with all Moors. And then we'll get to that. But right now we got to just start dealing with each other and stop bickering over stuff that don't matter. And then, and people that are, and the Moors that are, you know, that do travel and have the resources to travel, if you in government and you about, you know, this life, you're over there as a diplomat and ambassador to let them people over there know it's Moors out here that's woke, because the whole world know who we are. If we got people constantly going out there to different areas in the East, and like, look, Khalifa Society is who we about, but we got the same common enemy. We got the same common foe. Link up. That's what that's, it's not just to be going out there to vacate, looking cute and come back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying that's the reality. If we're talking about expansion, logistics, and intelligence, these are what nationalities of people do. You know what I'm saying?
I had a question too. You could go first, Quetzal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with y'all and everything, but I just had a question about
It's echoing. One second. Somebody close the door out there. Yeah, or go ahead.
I had a question if I'm the only one, because I live in Phoenix. I know most of y'all live in Cali. I wanted to know if I would be the only one, you know, in the classes that, you know, that's out of state, out of that state.
It's about 4. Georgia. It's like 3 brothers in Arizona actually. I can't. New York, a couple of brothers that affiliate with us. They bare minimum send dues in. But we're working on something with the brothers in New York. We're gonna kind of they getting some people. I told them to get some people together, and then we all gonna put it together. But yeah, you know,
it's kind of cool how I see y'all, you know, doing your little community things, but you know, it's kind of far.
Yeah, that's the physical meetings, you know. But like I say, that's technology is such where we can link up. If people serious, we can centralize finances. We got a treasury. We could organize, and no matter where you at, like, you know what I mean. Have a bare minimum 2 meetings a week, and politic, because really that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be eyes and ears in areas that we not at. You know what I'm saying? And as our finances grow, it's property everywhere. We can make some flips. We can start doing something. Figure out what businesses can we start. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like there's not a lot of people out, or not a lot of people in the community out here like on the same type of mindset.
We'll get there. Just stay
Yeah.
true.
Hey, you got to be the light. That's why I say get competent, get grounded, so you can explain this to somebody, and now you bringing them to the fold. Because once
Yeah, I
again,
mean, I try to talk to, you know, at least my immediate family about, you know, they be asking me like, what are you doing? But
you know,
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying.
yeah, no, yeah, just stay consistent and diligent, because that's called being tested. We can't fold when we tested or get discouraged because things aren't happening as fast as we may want it. But you know, are you consistent? Are you still doing what you do? You know what I mean? So, and
Yep.
that's how you get the reputation too. You know,
You gotta crawl first.
yeah, cool. Just you
Yeah,
know,
vibrate high. Vibrate, keep vibrating high. You know, make them come up. You don't go down.
Real talk.
Mhm. And energies are contagious, so you'll definitely attract the law of correspondence for sure.
'cause look, I didn't know anybody outside of my mom on this call. Once upon a time, maybe 3 years ago, maybe. Now it's a community. Now, you know, stay consistent, stay putting the information out there.
Yes,
And
sir.
you start getting a reputation. Like, oh,
Great minds think alike.
Go ahead.
I was just saying great minds speak alike.
I've been
Go
trying to cop some type of law book because I don't know. I think that's very, very important. The other day I got pulled over because they did the whole 9. You know, I mean, I'm a tattoo artist, and you know I look a certain way. So
yeah,
but
yeah,
I want to
stereotype.
know. I need to know. I need to know. You know, I need to know. I need my weapons too. You know, weapons of law.
Yeah.
I got Black Law Dictionary for you, Noble, 3rd and 4th edition PDF. I send that to you. I got the hard copy too, but you know, I also keep PDF so that way I can share with people.
All right, all right.
Not only that, but the Morris Tactical by Mafi. That's perfect.
That's perfect.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep the Morse Tactical in your car or on you.
Yeah, straight to
And
the
a flag.
And your flags. State, flag state.
I do got my flag. I'm just rearranging everything right now. I took a couple things down. Rearranging
My question, Mafi, was so our body, you know, this body politic is Khalifa society. And if we come across like other like-minded body politics, what legal you know, what's legal that would unite us, you know what I mean, under one umbrella? If there's two, because I know that there's a lot of separation between us, you know, arguing and bickering, like, but you know, if we vibe with another body politic, what would cover both of us under the same umbrella pretty much?
The fact that we got the same nationality.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just like kind of like states within the nation.
Right. Different. You call them clans, you call them nation states, political subdivisions. You know what I'm saying? Tribes, but they're all the same nationality, so we can all form what you call confederations and alliances for the political agenda of uplifting our people as a whole. You know, intelligence. You know, and the fact that we're just in different areas and have different networking circles, but we still got the same political agenda, we can get stuff done faster.
Yeah.
And just to make sure that we came together, that means our numbers is bigger. So to the outside looking in, it looks more respectable as well. Because remember, we're trying to wake the people up.
Yeah. I love it here too, man, because I don't see like a lot of y'all. I started unfollowing a lot of people on Instagram. It's nothing personal. I just can't be having this, you know, it's become a distraction for me. But I'm still showing up to meetings. This is more real to me than social media. But
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of y'all like, in the comment sections like, oh, you're wrong and you're doing it all wrong. So I respect y'all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I notice that when a lot of people are doing that whole crybaby thing, it's not really getting us nowhere. It's just taking us further from the truth and causing more confusion. And
Yeah. It's
I
fine.
respect y'all for that. Police society solid.
Well, yeah, we can, man. We talk about this. We see it, and then we have our own talks, and we build our own conduct. You know what I'm saying? Like, we let people do what they do, and we do what we do. That's the main focus, and hopefully it just can become contagious, and we can just make a lot of people pretty much similar. Because some of these stuff must be talked about in private anyway. So that's what we do. We talk about it in private. So it's not like things are happening differently. It's just some people share it to the world, and some people do not. So
Right. Oh, let me let the brother go ahead and introduce yourself, man. Cara, you the brother that was on Wishes Live, right? We met.
That's right. Peace and family.
Peace and love.
I just want to say that I'm in California, and for those in California, we have the largest number of native tribes in the United States. So we got that indigenous plug right there, right? Anybody ever heard of CRM, Cultural Resource Management?
No.
This is the strength we have. A lot of these native tribes are buying up the land that was divided among the government and the railroad, and for example, they're procuring the land. If there's any cultural material that's left behind, no development can take place. So that's the strength that we have right now. Where I'm at I'm in the IE by the San Manuel Indian Casino, who actually paid for my field school, and I got to spend a month in the bush with the natives and so forth, and just got the insight on what their politics is. And if anybody plays chess, you know how you have red, black, red, black. That's how the government and the railroads divided their land, right? And I love the title that the brother gave the Khalifa, because again, that's the title of a queen from California. So California has a unique history with indigenous people that we can use to our advantage. So I just want to put that out there, family.
Yeah. And also, like I was saying earlier, I'm not sure, you might have came in a little late. Once we do a couple things and for instance, acquire land from our intelligence or our in-house funds, and we get the land and we start building on it, we've just passed what you call a sniff test to invoke different House resolutions when we go to City Hall, and be like, look, we're these people. House resolution that's in LA saying we Aboriginal here. It's not an issue. So now we're invoking the rights of indigenous people, since it's already the prerequisites already been confirmed. And we've already, as a people, been an organization for X amount of years. That's what we've been doing. We serious. We just got land on our own. It took a couple years or whatever, but the people did it. We saved up. We got it. Now it's grants. Now we can invoke things like in HUD, HUD, housing urban development. For Aboriginal communities, it's grants, and that's every mayor get allocated a certain amount of money for these type of things. You know what I'm saying, for these programs, but people just we gotta just invoke it, and that's why I say any councilman or anybody if you got friends or family in that arena, rub shoulders, make it a habit of just stepping in there, attending the city council meetings. Because all type of people in there. It'd be the B coalition, it'd be the rifle coalition, it'd be people in there just, and we wanna just make a presence as well. And before I go on, brother, you got all the videos I sent, and I sent you the bullet points of the society as far as like the meeting days, the physical meeting days, where to send the dues if you were interested in more as tactical. Did I send that to you? I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And my apologies for not reaching out faster. I'm a single parent of two, trying to juggle the schedule, and I teach as well. So in due time, as it was written, we're gonna come together. But I want to agree with the brother was saying. We do need to refine a constitution like a Morris Bill of Rights that can create cohesiveness, that will give us a reason to unify outside of what state we're in. You see what I'm saying? I think that's the best thing we can do for the Honorable Noble Drew Ali with regards to what he's contributed in lights of the politics now. Because remember that Noble Drew Ali message came out during segregation. You see, now we're in the age of integration. And the only people who integrated were a lot of our people. You see what I'm saying? While other people are still practicing cultural segregation, economic segregation. And it's time for the more to practice that type of segregation with the lights of our agenda. And the best way we can do that, I think, is to create a practical form of Bill of Rights that will hold our leaders accountable and let the people feel that they are contributing to a bigger cause.
Yeah, and basically like how that happens, because anybody that's saying that they're a state body politic, and we're, we get our people that, the Indian tribe, we get all that. But as far as on an international, like I just said, House resolution, and it's already established that Moors can invoke international law. So what we need to do, like for instance, Khalifa Society is an organization, right? It's a body politic. It has bylaws. It has what you call a quote unquote constitution. You can read it, it's on the public record. Now, if any other organization wants to link up, they will first have to correct their status so it can even work in the first place, because we need to have a body of Moors. They can be from different areas. They thought they were Indian at first. All we gotta do is talk to their higher ups real diplomatically, like all the laws that show, like, look, we're Moors, and we can unify together and do some big things. So once again, one body politic can't save the world, but we can go about things and chip away at certain things. Like I say, we're building rapport with different Moors right now at different temples right now. If you have a rapport with the Indians, then like I say, first you get competent, show allegiance to the organization, be an ambassador, and you can be talking to these Indians, set up a meeting so we can unify. That's organization, you know what I mean? And but it's progress. That's good. That's it sound good,
And I agree. And the only advice I would tell people, if you have knowledge on status correction, don't charge for it, because we need the numbers. How are we gonna build a nation if we don't have the numbers in our favor, right? I mean, right. I know we all have to generate revenue and things like that, but if you know people who are really serious about correcting their status, who you really feel will be a good contribution to this Moorish nation, let's get those numbers up. Let's get those youth, in our favor. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a lot of documentation that can. It's a lot of steps. It's simple steps, heavy steps, but the main thing about it is, if you want the divine to kick in, you will have to really. That person will have to really know it for themselves. Like, they shouldn't have to do anything to correct their status. You can just say, you just know. But you can just start putting it on the paper, all rights reserved. You could just start, instead of signing the way we used to, we don't do it that way no more. It's different. It's simple. Everything is simple. It's not as heavy as people think it is. You know what I mean? Like, where the paperwork? Because I got to get it done. Like, I got to change my status. I got to proclaim my nationality. But when you look up all those definitions to those words, they don't have nothing to do with paper.
Nothing. Look up nationality. First couple of lines, right? Character. Mentality. Look up minority. The mentality of what? A minor. You got two opposite spectrums, right? So your character, right? And think about this. Do you hear any Chinese, Japanese, Hindu people from Pakistan talk about a correction, or they just be themselves? That's their bloodline. So think about that. There's no other nationalities talking about some paperwork. They're just themselves. They have their flag. They rep where they are. They got their customs. They got traditions. They work together. They build together. And over time, you start seeing progress. They get, right? Because they're industrious. Wow. That's the sniff test. They have nothing to do with it.
Imagine somebody saying, I am Black Nigerian. I need to go be regular Nigerian.
Hey, People concepts. You know what I'm saying? We gotta just start getting right what the prophet says. Just start thinking again. It
Yeah,
ain't
the
all-
brother said, just be yourself. Didn't he say that? Like, he
be
like, that's
yourself.
why Prophet Mastermind, man. He like, just be yourself, you know. Hey, look, you know, and that's the problem with our people, because, and this, it's not a problem with the movement, but on the outside, it make us look a certain way because everybody coming in, where the paperwork at? Where the paperwork? I want to be free.
Yeah.
That shit ain't finna free you.
Yeah.
That's not gonna free you.
That's already a slave mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, only
You
thing that's
gotta
gonna free
already
you
be
is the
free
mind.
in your mind. Yeah.
National standards and principles is gonna save you. And like I say, back to Chinatown and Koreatown, you can see their national standards and principles at work. They're not in hell like our people.
Right. And they were practicing the same thing we were practicing during segregation. Let's not forget that. Right? That's the same thing they're practicing. We're the only people who integrated. Everybody else is still practicing segregation. Like you said, any big city you go to, there's still a Chinatown.
Right.
There's still going to be a area where the Jews have their money piled up and so forth.
You know
And
why, Noble?
go ahead,
You
Pablo.
know why? You know why though? Because we are not who we are. We not who we say we are. You know, it's like if we had nationality, nobody want to deal with a black man. Now you see, like, we Moors, but we understand. So we got to go to our people and help them. But some people that want to be Negro, color, and black, we got to leave it alone. You know, because you only can save yourself. Like, these are the steps that Noble Jeweler gave us. You know, we have to save ourselves. Like, no one can do it for us. So if we was in our proper standing, proclaimed our nationality, and living the way we supposed to, then people will work with us, because that's what they waiting for. You know, they wouldn't have to go through the colonists or go through that government. They have a choice now, but they don't have a, you know what I mean? Like, you mess with the colonists or you mess with their government, you're gonna sign a contract that tells you not to mess with these people. You feel me?
Yeah. And keep in mind that we don't got to save the world. Once again, if we can maintain a society that's solid of 100 people or more, economically stay tied down, we don't care what nobody else really doing, because we're economically, like I say, $10 a week with 100 people, we're self-generated. And of course, like I say, we're gonna be flipping it, and of course we're gonna grow. If we at that number, of course we're gonna keep getting bigger, because like I say, the more bigger we get, the more attractive to our people. They just gonna be interested. Like, damn, that many people working together, they're not arguing. It's been years in the passing by. Damn. Right. So, you know,
Right.
we ain't, like I say, just 100 people on one page. That's my personal aim, because now we are automatic. We on cruise control. We generate $250,000 every 3 years. Just 100 people, $10 a week. That's in-house infrastructure. Like, you know, there's so many things we can do now. So many businesses we can just, man, let's get some cars and just rent them out. Let's just, you know what I mean?
Right.
We got in-house bread because the people paying taxes, they're not arguing. They stand down. You know what I'm saying?
That's
But
now I was just gonna say that's the abundance when we unite, you know, and we just, you know, we're just you know, we're just leading out of the heart, the higher self. If you got a bunch of higher selves walking around uniting, it's a wrap.
Wrap, man.
Because we are all those people, man. We Moors. So we are the real Chinese. We are the real this and the real that. We are all that. That's all our stuff. You know, but originally Moors, you know. So once we just, you know, what the prophet say, you know, I always go back to that, because, man, I mean, back in the day, the national IDs didn't even have a picture on it, bro. And now we got a picture on it, and it's still the problems, like something going on, you know. And it's dealing with, when you know something is right, it's like arguing with someone that don't want to admit that they're wrong. At some point, you just gonna have to do your own thing and don't focus on their airports, their this, their banks, their this. You gotta build your own. A bank is at home. You know what I mean? It's like, it's that simple.
That's the distraction right there when you focus on what other people are doing. And like the brother said, generational wealth includes the, you know, it involves the children. And that's crazy because I'm Mexican, and you know the slang term for our kids is morros, our morritos. You know what I mean? That's our morros. They're the inheritors. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just crazy.
So
Yeah.
He's long.
Yeah, man. It's right there for you. But yeah, any
I
other
see a
thoughts?
post where it said more comes from the word mer, the original what is it called? Builders of the what is it? The pyramids.
About MR.
MER and mer and more.
Right.
Yeah, I remember you were explaining how the vowels are kind of interchangeable. Mer, more, mer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
E-I-O-U.
you put any of them
Mari.
vowels in the middle of MR, it's more, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also recently read another thing about the Day of the Dead, that it was in fact a Moorish tradition that the Mexicans kept. So it does fall into what you guys are saying, like what's being brought to light, that the Mexicans.
Yeah, man.
You could say more in every language, man. Like,
Yeah,
that's the
that's
crazy
what
part.
exactly what I'm saying though. Like
Every language.
Chica and the Tolteca, I mean, those are different languages, but they still mean more, was what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Tolteca it means to be a master mason. Those are the people. That's what they spoke in those certain areas. Those Moors spoke those languages. They referred to themselves as Tolteca or Chica.
Yeah.
Well, we
That's
talked to
what
a
we
guy
do.
that speak Arabic, and we asked him like, "Hey, well, say black in Arabic," and he was like, I was like, "Yeah, exactly. That's how I get him, because it's kind of like it was. You remember that day, Mafi? We was out there. I think we was at Thai Corner. We was at Thai Corner that day, and a dude that spoke Arabic, he was just asking questions about the feds and stuff like that, and we told him, he understood, and then he was like, "No, we not black." And he was just looking kind of puzzled. Then I'm like, well, say black in Arabic. And then he couldn't. So that's how you know it's something up here, you know what I mean? And it's spreading. We right on time, bro, because it's spreading. Like, when people wanted to, why you speak all these different languages, but when you want to talk about a specific group of people, we the only ones that everybody could say black. Oh, he black.
Right.
Like, they don't even know how to speak no other English, but they know how to say black. So,
or even us. I mean, like for example, me, I grew up that even within my own family, they would look at I would say, because my dad's, he's a little darker than the rest of the family or whatever, and they would call him a moro or different things of that sort. But what I'm trying to say is, they would also say that what's it called? Damn, it just
He was a moreno.
yeah, moreno, Simon.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call me güero, unfortunately. My Albion features kind of stick out.
Yeah, man.
Oh, Latinos. That's what they would, tell us that we're Latinos. How are we Latinos if, we got no connection to?
Oh, you too busy to let Amaru on the Zoom,
It's
huh?
Greece.
I didn't
You
see
know,
it.
Latin is like Rome, ties back to Rome and Greece and stuff like that, right?
What's the language? Our
for
people
the
our people spoke Latin. So like our people spoke Arabic. The European or the foreigner call us Arabs. Our people spoke Latin. All in the Latinos. It's just a language. Like I said, they got lazy. They decided, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The original people that that I learned, I actually just learned that my family was half of, like, we could trace to the Apaches, the Chickawas, And I just learned that one of my cousins from LA, they reached out to me or whatever. But also, you know, that means that we never spoke, you know, Spanish, and that's a Latin language. So we would either speak Chiricahua or Nahuatl. Those are indigenous languages which nobody knows. And how you're saying, I mean, how we're saying that, you know, Moors, they none of these people here spoke those Latin languages.
Right.
Like English, Spanish, Portuguese, but you know, the main two, English and Spanish.
Well, they're saying Spanish, but it's really Latin.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my point. For them to call us Latinos.
Right.
Oh, it's just a bunch of confusion. But now that I'm, you know, learning more, a lot of this is integrating, and it's like, oh,
right.
You know, they're over here trying to get us. And
Yeah.
for me to claim, like you're saying, nationality, for me to claim that I'm Latino, I'm not from the Latin.
There's no power. Neither does Hispanic.
Right. You gotta read
Tie
that
you
book
to a
called
nation.
Lost in Dios, man. You read that book, it's the war manual.
What is it called?
With Crystal, Lost in Dios. I mean, those without God.
All right. Yeah.
And that's where they got that term Indian from, you know, and that's Christopher Columbus. You know what I mean? He didn't find America, he was somewhere else, you know what I mean? But that book pretty much illustrates that and explain how that, you know, the Latin and Spanish and all that stuff, how it happened. Yeah, it's a good book.
And two, you gotta realize that you gotta realize like Latinos, so the people that call our people Latinos and Arabs, like that's the same people.
Yeah.
Like, I say our people spoke Arabic and Latin. So the foreigner will call our people Arabs or Latinos. You know,
right.
But then they're the same people. And then if you look up, it's like 800 words in Latin or, you know, Spanish and in Arabic that have the same dialect, or, you know, it's in the same family. So yeah.
Well, I would encourage anybody to study the Spanish Inquisition because that was our fall, right? The Catholic Church gave them authority to enslave those non-Christians who happen to be of Moorish descent, and they also kicked out the Arabs and the Sephardim Jews, right? The Sephardim Jews were the first people called Ladino with a D, right? They were the aristocrats, right? The Ladinos, right? They spoke Spanish. They were Jews, but they had names like Lopez, things like that, right? They created, that's why in some instances you hear Latinos who have names like Ishmael. What's another Latin Arabic word that they may have? Ishmael, right?
Yeah.
Right.
They say Christopher Columbus, you know, when he came here, 16 synagogues popped up in South America, right? So there's an argument whether he was Jewish or not, right? And the Portuguese as well. And this was given to them by the Catholic Church. You see, so it is funny because there were cities in Spain called Cadillac, Seville, right? These are prestigious cars that we drive in America, am I right? Huh?
Yep.
The black and brown, that's a sign of prestige, right? Got that new Cadillac, bro. For real? Right? These were cities in Spain that we built. Spain was the apple of Europe.
Well, Al-Andalus, but before 1492, Al-Andalus.
Exactly. You see, so what happened to Spain, right? The Portuguese were the first to break off, right? The issue between the Catholic Church and the English Protestants, right? This is a history that the more need to study because this led to our betrayal.
Right. And we look up the Alhambra, that was the capital of Al-Andalus, or like the brother said, he's saying Spain, before you know, Queen Elizabeth and King Ferdinand united their kingdoms and overthrew and infiltrated. The Red House was infiltrated. So our people, it was an inside job, is what I'm getting at. Because the Red House or the Alhambra, if you look how it's built, it's on top of a hill. So you're gonna see enemies coming from miles away. It's no way that's getting defeated. It was the biggest fortress, you know what I mean? And it was an inside job, our sellout trader people. And it was, you know, but Yeah, man.
I'm gonna give y'all history.
That's why you wanna.
Right?
No, go ahead, Noble.
Okay, in 1453, that was the fall of the the Byzantine Empire. Am I correct?
Byzantine? Yeah.
The Byzantines, right?
Yeah.
And in 1492, it was the fall of the exile of the Moors, right? The question I'm asking was, what was the history or relationship that we had with the Byzantine? I mean, with the Turks.
The Turks.
Because our empire fell and the Turkish empire rose. Think about that.
Right. And
you know what happened though? We mixed in. See, like when 7-Eleven, Spain. That's what this other book is going to explain. Like, because the same thing that happened when Christopher Columbus found so-called America is the same thing that happened then. So when you said the names, how you get that last name Lopez, actually, right? Because it's a Moorish man or a Moabite has sex with someone else, another nation, and they on that patriarch shit, and you get the last name of your father. But really, it's supposed to be the last. If we all had the last name of our mother, now we'll all be having the same last name, right? So when you mix in with another nation, that's why Prophet made it like simple, like don't mix. You know what I mean? Even CM Bay told us the Magnum Charter, like you don't disrespect their stuff. You know what I mean? But that's not your stuff. You know what I mean? So that's what happened everywhere. Like they come colonize. This time we mixed in with them people in 1711. I mean, in 7-Eleven. And now you got Moriscos. Now you got children that's confused. You know, if you think about it.
To answer his question as far as the Turks, like that specific question, back to what Europeans loosely called us, like we were the original Turks. We're not talking about Turkey. Like Turkey is not the Turk. Turkey is something new. That's 1950 something. Just like the Kingdom of Morocco and the state of Egypt and the state of Israel was 1950 something. If you're talking about the Turks, ancient Turks, we're talking about the Moors. That's just another way of saying
about the Turks.
Yeah, those are just saying no.
King Mehmed, 1453.
Yeah, the Turks. That was us. That's the Moors. You know what I'm saying? Boots on the ground. When Islam started getting political, when you start having phrases like the Muslims versus the Christians, it was the Turks that was the boots on the ground. But once again, that's from a European narrative calling our people Turks, calling our people Arabs, calling our people Saracens, calling our people Phoenician, calling our people Egyptian. These aren't original terminologies, but we get it. You know, we'll roll with it just to teach our people, but you know, don't get caught up in like Turk was just a whole separate thing. Those are Moors, just in a different area. You know what I mean?
That's crazy how you brought up Phoenicians, because I read somewhere in another another book that said that pertaining to the Mexicans that the Mexicas or the Phoenicians spoke Mexica, which is now that was a pre-colonial language spoken here in Americas.
And then in the islands, you got the Turks and Caicos, right? Over here.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it ain't that deep. It ain't that deep, even to today. Even if I have my name, right? If I go have sex with someone who's Mexican or Latino family, right? What's that child last name gonna be? My last name. So now this child is supposedly mixed to these people. Now they give the child a new name. That's where you get mulatto and all this shit from. You know, you always get a different term because they're trying to describe what type of Moor you are. They know you're a Moor, but say like you're a Jew. That's a certain type of Moor, a certain mindset, or a certain position in power, or you know what I mean? It's simple.
You get the book. Whoever don't got the book, The Jews of Muslim Spain, it'll cover kind of what we're talking about right now. Because when they say the Jews got expelled from Spain, the Sephardic Jews, that's the movement. And that book's gonna break it down how the Moors got expelled after 1492. They got expelled and went to different areas. So
right. And one of the things that Queen Isabella did was she forced them to take middle names, right? If you got 3 names, that's a forced Christian what's what I'm looking for? Mandate, right? You had to have a middle name, right? So anybody with a middle name, that shows the influence that the Catholic Church had putting that in place.
Islam.
Yes, yeah, man. It's
I've always had issues with my name because I don't know, it was an issue between my mom and my dad who our last name I was gonna get. I don't even know why it was an issue. But I have my mom's last name and I have my father's last name. But the way it is on my birth certificate is backwards. So my grandma used to always be on my head talking about I'm supposed to use my last name, which is Brinson, but that's not at the end. My mom's last name is at the end. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But there we go again. Like how did Europeans end up being Christians? Because Catholic and all that stuff, that's more stuff. So how did they take over that name? Just like how they took over white. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's simple. It's tactics. It's you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
And we still pay taxes to the Vatican, don't we?
Yeah.
The IRS sends some money.
Most people do.
Yeah. Yeah, most people.
Because if you say Europeans came from this and that and triangulodite and all that, well, how did they mix into the people they are today? Exactly. It's simple. Somebody had sex with it, right? Somebody had a baby. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. Like that's what, whether it's the man has sex with the female trangulodite or the trangulodite men, whatever. But that's why the most thing is like, that's why they say don't mix. You know what I mean? But on a higher level, it's mental because they are children running around here. They all come from if you come out the Moabite womb, that's what you are. You are as perfect as your mother is. You are, you know what I mean? You are your mother. So yeah, we got all these names and certain things, but things mix easily.
Yeah, and back to allegiance and not playing skin tone games because that causes divisions. Back to allegiance and character. If back to the House resolution, if Moors are the mothers and fathers of humanity, that means everybody came. All humans have some blood of Moors. So if that's the truth, all it takes is a humbling of like, you know what? Let's link up with the human family. And really everybody be, united. But yeah, we went overtime low key.
It's so interesting, man. Like we really, I feel like we're really getting some stuff done right here. And like, even though there's, certain dates and where certain empires fell and all that, that's like the physical. It's real easy. I feel like it's important to know that it's easy to get to fall into the technique, like how we study the logic, the brain and the heart need to be balanced. And that's why I think the laws of Ma'at are very important to, recite as affirmations or whatever, because it teaches you, like if there's some that you don't know, then don't speak on it, because that's probably just going to cause confusion, but just maintain your heart pure, and that's how we unite and stuff. If we're incompetent to a certain degree, you still love yourself and just speak when you're being spoken to or when it's something that you understand, so you don't cause confusion and stuff like that.
Yeah, all it's about. But this is a good session. I'm gonna close out. I got a delivery. They hit me up. I'm also take it. And that was just a good session. I'll see everybody Sunday. And peace and love. Everybody can think about one thing about feeding the homeless. Remember, we're gonna start doing that once a month. So keep in mind ideas for that for the first week of every month. That's a prime area where we at. But yeah, I see everybody, most people on Sunday. Islam, everybody have a beautiful night.
Peace.
Peace and love.
Peace and
Islam.
love.
Love,
Happy
peace and
holy
love.
day.
Peace and love.
Happy holy day.
Peace and love, everybody. Good night.
On the L.
Shalom.